Hello, my name is Ethan and welcome back to another episode of Path of Exile Delirium League. In this episode, I want to go over a budget version of the build. It's been asked and requested a lot. There's a lot of complaints, a lot of problems correlated around people and their issue with getting megalomaniacs, but especially Vicious Bite, Rotten Claws, etc. with like good nodes on megalomaniacs, and then they raised the other problem like, oh, if I try to go for a medium that isn't a megalomaniac, there's no good mods. So today I've put together a few steps on how you too can be as strong as I am without megalomaniacs. So let's just run through a couple things about my build before, so to keep this as a check mark, like a benchmark, okay? So 12 zombies, 1.7 million damage, 5,700 life, capped reses, kind of, right? I just have to add one life here. Okay. So again, 5,700 life, 1.7 million, and then I decided to say, okay, well, to make this a more budget version friendly thing, easier for people to copy, because the megalomaniacs are completely nobody can do this. Okay, so instead I made this POB. Okay, so this POB, I took out the megalomaniacs and I put a third large cluster jewel, okay? So now imagine that you allocate 7 points here, and then you get 2 jewel sockets. So the jewels I put in suck. It's just to make a point. 5,900 life, 1.35 million damage, and what I put in was like, look at this, life, chaos res, life, chaos res. I put the same jewel, and then I put one quickening covenant with 16% attack speed, one another chaos res. So the chaos res is overcapped. It was just to prove a point, like 7% life per jewel cluster. Like another 7% life, and then I put a fortress covenant. You can have up to 50% increased damage from that, and that's just one jewel. And I still had my old jewel of res. It's like a lot of res and the mana reduction, and so this is just literally removing the megalomaniacs, putting jewels instead of megalomaniacs, and then adding another jewel cluster for the extra damage. So we got to 1.35 million DPS, and this should be high enough to do tier 16 without any megalomaniacs in the build. I have slightly more life as well. More chaos res, so obviously we could also mess with all these jewels. And then I'll say one benefit. One immediate benefit that you will notice from doing this over doing megalomaniacs is, imagine how much easier it's going to be to get 4 1% reduced mana jewels when you have 6 jewels added to the build. Okay, so then a lot of people will see this one and they will go, Ethan, there's so many things you can change, like this is only 1 point, and then look at all this, and oh my god, what are you, oh look how close you are for death attunement, could you anoint something else, like oh my god, what's going on, I don't, so many things change with this different alteration that you showed us. Well, this is true. Let me show you the next one. What? There's more? Yeah. So then, with that one in mind, I was like, okay, look guys, the same damage, 50 extra, 50 less life, some chaos res. Doesn't it look a bit better? You just don't spend 3 points here. You know, everything's squared up, all the reses are fine, everything is good. It also works, right? Look how the pathing is different. It's weird. I would also like to point out, with triple large cluster jewel, you get 3 rotting claws, which means you can run you don't need Impale, and you run Dread Banner, but you run Dread Banner with Awakened Generosity and a separate link, which is what I've been doing. There you go. And then, yeah, mana reserve's not a problem because you have all these extra jewels. And then your Impale chance on the zombies. Give me a second. Right up here, 93%. Like, it's good enough. It's good enough, dude. I'll take it. And so this one was another, like, a different skill tree again. And this one has the Chaos Res squared away, like you're good, so you could technically change this 1 point to somewhere else. And okay, and then you would think that'd be it, right? And I was like, okay, let's take it one step further. What the heck, Ethan? So you path up here, and because you pathed up here, you don't need to path through here. So because you don't path this, to get Grave Pact and save points, we use Thread of Hope, which destroys our reses. And then I got actual jewels in here with 1% mana reduction, which also, let me just fix this too. It'll be in this one as well. The Dread Banner is not separate. 1 second. Okay, and then, there we go. So then we still, you see 1.35 million damage, 6,100 life. Reses are still working. We have perfect fire, 6,000 life. So we gained life. It's starting to show the min-max, right? You could also change it so that the jewels are different, because right now I've pointed out how we just changed that and we still have 5% unreserved mana, because right now in the build we have one sec. Let me look at this. 1, 2. Was it only 2? Really? Okay. It looks like 3. But it's 2. Okay, yeah, so we used 2 of these reduced mana jewels with the 1% here and the 1% here, and then I have a 1% here, so I just have 1% everywhere, and so the mana reduction is way too high now. I guess we could start to almost think about fitting even more stuff in, dude. But anyways, yeah, this was like the greatest version of them all that I've figured out, because look, the life is 6,099, and the damage is the same, and so... this should be good enough to do tier 16, I think, and then you have more life, and it's on a budget, so it doesn't have any of the megalomaniacs, and yeah, this is probably super interesting to a lot of people, so that they can make more, they can copy this shit and make budget version, and constantly simplify the build so that more people can play it. Overall, I look at this and I'm like, you really need the nasty megalomaniacs for them to be insane. A 1-stat megalomaniac isn't insane. 2-stat megalomaniac starts to get good. 3 is like really insane, and that's why their price tag is so high. And people trying to compare and say like, oh, make a thing. Yeah, you can. Just look, man. Really easy. Large cluster jewels are so broken. They're only like 3 or 4x, and these jewels can be cheap too. This is just like, most of these are just res jewels, and then they don't even have life. Like, imagine that each of these, I told you there's 2 or 3, and each one could have 7% life, so I'd have even more. Oh my god, dude. And that was just these reses. That was just like copying this, because this shit I already had without having to make anything fancy. this was just like a quick, hey, I wonder what this would do, because a lot of people have been asking, hey, they make a budget version, your shit's too expensive. It's not, by the way, but they keep saying it. And so here you go, made something even cheaper. And so again, I've just removed 4 megalomaniac requirements from the build, and so you go, and now the build, like, look, you go from this with 4 megalomaniacs with 1.76 with 5700 life, lose 400k DPS, and then gain 300 or 400 life, saving a ton of currency. Yeah, it's pretty good, dude. Jewels are actually so powerful. It's actually just large clusters like this large cluster, and voices are just so powerful. It's almost like this video shows us that I should just sell the megalomaniacs kappa. No, they're like a weird min-max just for this like slight boost that you don't need. You don't actually need them, but the large cluster jewel is so powerful, giving you 2 jewel sockets, and it's like a budget voices that gives you literally god nodes, vicious bite, rotting claws, and then an extra mod of feasting fiends, and you can corrupt them like mine has, reduce mana reserve. So imagine you can have 3 of these then. It's pretty dumb. Yeah, so overall, this is how to not have to need megalomaniacs in the build. But it was really fun to make the video, how to get 6 vicious bites and all that shit, and you know, it's really cool. Oh, this also opens up, like, now Death Attunement's only like 5 points, you could actually path it maybe and anoint something else, since it's only 5 points if you're gonna path up to the 3rd jewel socket. But yeah, here you go, had to put it out here, budget version. And then in the comment section below, in the description below, I'm gonna have the step 1. So you know how I started with the normal POB. We're gonna have normal POB. I'm gonna release step 1, what I did first to it. Step 2, what I did second. Step 3, so different POBs showing the different steps. And if you just want the last one, I'll give the last one, final one. And yeah, it's really interesting to see the differences and the comparison and what I changed. I haven't actually done any of this in game because it's like pretty cheap, to be honest. This is the more budget, and I have these crazy megalomaniacs and I don't really need to. But if I did want to sell the megalomaniacs and replace the build, wow, look how easy it would have been, dude. But we have these expensive megalomaniacs and no one's ever going to buy them for really expensive, so there you go. Either way, 6 vicious bites still OP if you're wondering that. This was just to show that if you don't want to get megalomaniacs and go crazy and get that extra bit of damage, technically you could build the build with jewels and 3 large and a bunch of jewel sockets. Yeah, either way, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for enjoying this budget build. I hope this helps a lot of people. I'm sure it will. They usually do. Thanks for watching this episode, and I'm going to take this opportunity to thank anyone new who joins the Patreon or the YouTube members today. Thank you guys for all the financial support through the Patreon and the YouTube members and the Twitch subs. 93 subs on Twitch is insane. Thank you guys for all the support, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye!